Today we're going to do a quick video on how to get the wood stove set up and running so that it'll work properly and the fire will keep going. So anyway, first thing we do is open the door, and it's been cleaned out, so there's nothing in it at the moment. And first step is we're going to put a bunch of crumpled up papers in here. We have some old brown paper today. Usually we use newspaper, but you have to have a nice bed of paper that we'll use to light the fire. Alright, I think that's probably pretty good. Alright, you gonna start it up again? Okay, so we've got some crumpled up paper in there. The next step is we're taking a couple fire lighter sticks and we're laying those on top of the paper. Okay, so after we've got the fire lighter sticks in there, the fat wood, we're going to go ahead and put some kindling wood in, which is just small pieces of wood that will catch fire real easy. And we're going to put a bed of those in right over the fire lighter sticks. Got some, here's actually a small sticks, some small pieces of wood that will get the fire going. A few more in there. Okay, so after we've got that in, the next thing is to put on top of that some dry pieces of smaller wood. This is probably about 2 inches in diameter, that the kindling wood will get going, and then we'll build up from there. We've got that in there. We're going to put some progressively bigger pieces. And then so we'll light, when we get ready to start the fire, we'll light. Okay, we've got a lighter in the drawer out in the kitchen, and we're going to go ahead and just click that, hold the button down on top and click it, and then we can go ahead and start our paper, and that will get the fat wood going, the kindling, and then the bigger pieces. So we're ready to the paper. Filming. Ready to shut the door to the stove. To get it started, we want to open these vents at the bottom. Just a few turns, both of them. And we'll have those open while we're getting the fire going.
Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty.
Once it gets going, if we want the fire to last a long time, we would tighten those down a little bit so it's just a little air going through there, and we would open this one at the top, which will keep it going for a long time, like if we want a fire going overnight. The last thing we have to do is make sure that the damper is in the right position, and it's on the side of the stove. Almost impossible to see. We've loaded the stove up and we've got the vents open, and what we're going to do now is make sure that the damper is in the right position. So there's a little lever on the side of the stove, and when we flip that towards the door of the stove, the damper is now open, and that's the position we want it in to get the fire going. And that gives us the most airflow through the stove. Once we get a really good fire going with good coals and we want the fire to last, then we can flip that back up to the closed position, and it will draw the air up through the front of the stove and back out, and it will keep burning for quite a while. So that's all there is basically to getting the stove started and operating. Okay, so once we get the fire lit, the important thing is to try to keep it going, and we want a nice steady fire, not a big bonfire that is going to burn out quickly. So we get the bed of coals started in there using the two bottom vents and the damper being open, and then as it burns down, the coals get in here, we'll add some bigger wood that will last a long time. If you're going to leave the cabin for a while, the best thing to do is we want to switch over to make it last. So we would shut these lower valves, wear gloves when you do this, or use a hot pad because it will be very hot, and then open this top vent
Lefty loosey, righty tighty.
and we'll close this other bottom one. We may leave the bottom one cracked just a little bit, but most of the air should be coming through the top one, and we would flip that lever on the side up so that the damper is closed. And if you do that when you leave the cabin, when you come back, you should have plenty of coals in there where you can then go ahead and put some small stuff in, open the bottom ones up again, open the damper up, and you can restart the fire without having to reload it with paper and fire lighters and stuff. It's much easier to just keep it going than to try to clean it out and start it over again. So that's all there is to operating the wood stove.